So for the last few hours, I've been in a pretty catatonic state to the point to where I've not been able to really focus on anything aside from Breath of the Wild. And I figured we would go through and do a little bit of an analysis of this trailer. I have a nice long list of things that I've written down that I think that are of importance, and some things that I would like to discuss and to theorize on as to what is going to be taking place in this game. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, to start this off, we have this green wispy shit that's flowing through the air, which in some instances really looks like the Hylian alphabet, which is very strange. Also, in this scene here, the spikes on the walls inside this cavern seem to be some kind of containment, so if Ganon was to ever break out or enlarge or something to that extent, it would impale him and break him. So maybe this was originally where Calamity Ganon was supposed to be held or something to that extent. It also kind of it also kind of gives off some symmetry towards the Chamber of Resurrection. And just how it's laid out and everything. We also see here that there's a lot of malice oozing out of Ganon, as well as this glowing arm that is attached to Ganon. And we'll get to that shortly, but let's just resume from here. Also, the music, at this point, the music, I've seen a couple videos where they've reversed the music. It's not any theme that I can personally pick out, so who knows, somebody with a keener ear might be able to figure out what this is, if it ties to anything Zelda related, or if it's just a new theme. But here on this wall, we have a cave painting, much like the paintings that we've seen previously in Breath of the Wild, and on the back of the map that came with the collector's edition of Breath of the Wild. But this time, instead of it being Calamity Ganon, this is actually Ganondorf, and it is him riding on his black horse, and I believe he has a trident in his hand. Yes, he has a trident up there. You can see it a little bit better here in this shot, but that is 100% Ganondorf riding on his horse. Here we get a top-down perspective and more of the green energy that's floating about, and I haven't really looked too into it to see if it's any of these are Hylian letters, but it just kind of looked that way to me. Here we get a shot of Zelda and Link up there in the front. Zelda is riding some kind of bull that looks like a pack animal. So who knows? I mean, I'm assuming we're going to be traveling together, Link and Zelda's in this sequel, and the potential here is that this could be a pack animal that we could store supplies in, store weapons in, store food in. Who knows what the possibility of this is? It just kind of caught my eye as something that might be tied to the gameplay experience. But yeah, we'll get more into some of the gameplay stuff here in just a little bit. Here we can see Link and Zelda overlooking Ganon's body with the arm sticking into it. And this is a great shot because we can see a few things here that are pretty keen. Zelda has short hair in this shot, which leads me to believe that we're going to have the option to play as either Link or Zelda, and it really, honestly, I feel like that's the right choice, and it's not really going to take away from the story or anything like that, because if they're traveling together and the story is taking place between the both of them, then, the story is going to unfold between the both of them. Why not give people the option to play as Zelda? The series has gone on way too long for there not to be a playable Zelda, and I just think that this is long overdue, and it makes a lot of sense for what we're seeing here. But the point is, short hair, customization looks like it's a thing. She also has this kind of poncho-esque thing that looks a lot like the Hylian cloak that we've seen in Breath of the Wild. And of course, Link has the Master Sword, so we know for sure that this is taking place directly or within a close time frame directly after Breath of the Wild. Another shot here of this bull, which I don't recall ever seeing a bull that looks like this in Breath of the Wild. Correct me if I'm wrong, but just off the top of my head, I don't recall seeing a bull that looks like this. But yeah, we also see some of the Guardian architecture, I guess you could say, on this pillar over here to the left with how it's etched, and also some of the what looks like some of some stones here with the same coloration that the shrines had. But yeah, continue on from here. A rat being absolutely fucking demolished by Malice. And its little cry is just really depressing. It's little squeaks of terror. Here we see them crossing this bridge that's been damaged, and this, to me, all of this is, I believe, taking place underneath Hyrule Castle. But we'll get to that in just a moment. Another good shot of Zelda here, also showing off this new hairstyle, raising a torch, and then we could see Link, of course, in the background over there. Nothing too standoutish from that. Another shot here of the arm in Ganondorf. Right here, we get some really good detail. I mean, if you didn't know it was Ganon before, you sure as hell do now. Mainly because the red hair, of course, being a long feature of Ganondorf and of the Gerudo in general. But to back this up further, I saw a lot of people on Twitter and especially in the comments and stuff saying, oh, this could be Demise. We don't know if it's Ganondorf. Well, if you look right here at the top right-hand corner, this earring that he has right here is a Gerudo crest. It has the Gerudo symbol here, which is something that we have seen before in Breath of the Wild. And here's another shot of the Gerudo crest, just to further back it up. Initially, when I first saw this, I thought it was Majora's Mask. But then, like it panned out a little bit more and you didn't see the spikes. And I'm like, oh, okay. So this is fully confirming that this is Ganondorf. And a really good fucking shot right here. I'm really glad I paused it at this moment. This arm is heavily, it has heavy resemblance towards Guardians. Or Guardian or Sheikah technology. And it is sealing Ganondorf, almost like how the Master Sword seals Ganondorf. Very interesting take on how this is working, and I'm also very intrigued to see what they're going with this story-wise, mainly because Calamity Ganon gave up his reincarnation to bring out his true incarnate form, so I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out story and lore-wise, how Ganondorf is going to be coming back. Maybe this is like some residual shit that was floating around, or maybe part of Ganondorf's soul was split in two, and one part became Calamity Ganon, the other part was maintained in Ganondorf's body. Who's to know? We really don't know from there. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to have to go back a few frames here. This right here is very interesting to me. We see Link absorbing some of this green energy that's floating around. It's almost as if it's transferring into his body directly from the arm that was maintaining Ganondorf, and I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that the arm that was maintaining Ganondorf was a right arm as well. So I'm very interested to see with this. Who knows what this may mean gameplay wise? We might see some shit like from Sekiro, where it's like the ninja prosthetic, and it creates this whole dynamic of gameplay that we haven't seen. So who knows what kind of abilities we may get from this, and what kind of combat situations might arise from what's happening with Link's arm here. So I went back and played some of the footage back. It is a right hand that is sealing Ganon. So that further to me seems like a transference, and that it might be some combat related stuff, because as we know, Link is now right-handed instead of left-handed. But we're just going to resume from here. So from here, we see the Malice breaking free from Ganondorf and hitting the roof. Link and Zelda's hands parting from each other, trying to hold on to each other, I'm assuming, from the coming blast wave. So here we have a temple that we're going inside of, where Calamity Ganon is being held. And so here we see a left hand instead of a right hand grabbing Link. So who knows what's happening here and what kind of character this may be. That might be having some, maybe it's another monk from the shrines. Maybe it's an ancient Sheikah. Who knows what's happening here. But we see Link's arm being grabbed by the left hand, the separate hand of this figure. We get this really cool shot right here of an arm, a shadow of an arm reaching in as if to stop Ganon being released, or Ganondorf being released, as well as the arm still encapsulating him. So who knows what this means, or how it's going to play out, but very cool shot, very cool cinematography at play here. Here we see Link and Zelda, probably part of the scene where their hands are being being pulled apart, ground's collapsing underneath them. We get a shot of Zelda looking at Ganondorf's hand with some rings on it. A shocked Zelda turning around. Man, I haven't said this enough. This Zelda design is fucking beautiful. I absolutely adore the Zelda design. So cute, so pretty. Anyways, let's continue. So here we have another shot of that Gerudo, the Gerudo crest from his earrings and from his jewelry. Zombified, re-dead ass corpse of Ganondorf with the crown jewel at the top of his head. Obviously a fucking weak spot. You gotta shoot it with a bow. We know how Zelda games work. But here we see, very fucking creepy, mind you. You know what this reminds me a lot of? This reminds me a lot of the scene in Twilight Princess where Zant shows back up at the fight with Ganondorf, and it's that really weird scene before Ganondorf dies and Zant cracks his neck. That is very much the vibe that I'm getting with this right here. But yeah, very cool what's happening here with that. And then we see Ganondorf reawaken in this fucking horrifying ass face, man. It's just terrifying. He has fangs now, looking a lot like fucking Voldemort. It's insane. Very fucking Eye of Sauron ass eyes, terrifying. And this scene right here, there's a few things I want to point out about Hyrule that we see in this picture right now. I do not see a single shrine or tower anywhere in this scene. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if this is just purely a cinematic choice, or if it holds any importance. There's just nothing that I see here that ties back to any of the shrines or any of the stuff that happened previously in Breath of the Wild. Obviously, this is taken from the perspective of the Great Plateau overlooking Hyrule Castle, and maybe it's just the positioning, but I feel like we would see a shrine maybe somewhere, or there's a few in Hyrule Field that we could see from here, but maybe it's just a choice on behalf of Nintendo to not show anything at this point. But yeah, who knows? Just a very interesting thing that I wanted to point out. No shrines or towers that we can see of at this point. And from here we see Hyrule Castle being shifted up out of the ground. And to me, that seems to signify that this is taking place underneath Hyrule Castle. That makes the most sense to me. That's where Calamity Ganon was. It's where he was stored. It just seems to have some very obvious correlation to it. But what is important here is Hyrule Castle is being lifted up out of the ground. Maybe this also ties into why the Great Plateau is raised up above the ground. Previously, we had thought that it was maybe, this was where Skyloft came from, but, the Temple of Time was built there and people had colonized it and all this other stuff from previous games. So who knows? Maybe this ties into why the Great Plateau was separated away from everybody, and maybe we'll see something to the same degree with Hyrule Castle with that. All right, so from here, we hear this heartbeat, and the wispy green energy slowly dissipates. Now, I don't know for sure, but I think this whole idea of Ganondorf being revived and coming back to life, maybe this is Ganondorf's heartbeat that we're hearing here, and the fact that the malice has broken free, maybe the wispy green stuff disappearing, is it disappearing into Link's arm, or maybe just disappearing because the malice was too strong and it couldn't hold it anymore. And that's it, now in development. The sequel to Breath of the Wild. Absolutely fucking insane. Man, what a crazy fucking day this has been for Nintendo games and just E3 in general. Insane. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I super appreciate it. Be sure to follow me on all my social medias. Links will be down in the description. I'll be talking on Twitter probably for the days to come about this, so please follow me on there if you'd like to keep up to date with me. Subscribe if you like this video. Like this video, if only if you liked it. If you didn't like it, tell me why you didn't like it. I only look to improve my content, so please let me know what I could be doing better and why I am such a shitty YouTuber. I would love to make it better. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Thank you.